favorite Star Wars video game. So the first thing that comes to mind is easily Star Wars Rogue Squadron on the N64. My childhood was almost based on that game. Just being able to play as the Rebel Alliance, using the X-Wing and all the other different ships in the game, going through the different levels. It was an experience that you didn't really get in games before, especially with the Star Wars themes. Usually you expect lightsaber battles and stuff like that, but Rogue Squadron really capitalized on what I found that old arcade game style is.
It's pretty easy, I think. I was an N64 kid, always have been, always will be. I still play it, and I think the Pod Racer game is my go-to, just because I'm an arcade style player. I don't like anything that takes too much, I like a good story, but that one just was fun. I mean, it was, and they had, I think at the movie theaters, they had the game on those,
Yes, they did.
Could ride them,
yes.
And I would spend
awesome.
like $10 on tokens and just play that constantly. And it has a special place in my heart because it was kind of a racer, a real racing game, and it was for the N64 one of the best ones that I can remember.
My favorite Star Wars video game, at least one of them, is the new Battlefront. Probably the best graphics I've seen in a very long time.
What about the gameplay? What's your favorite gameplay aspect?
Gameplay aspect is probably playing as, you can play as a hero. So you can play as Darth Vader, you use the Force. You're pretty much an OP, unkillable machine until you obviously get overwhelmed.
Go with the original Battlefront. I remember when that game came out, a lot of hype around it. It was one of the first Star Wars games where you got to play on all fronts. You could jump up in the air with the X-Wing.
Even the Battlefront.
Eh? Yeah, with the TIE Fighters, the X-Wing. You could play as Luke, you could play as Vader, Stormtroopers, Rogue Alliance members. You name it. It was so cool. It was something so different, and the new one really capitalized on visuals with it. Even though I feel like it's very Battlefield-esque, and I don't really like that too much. It's so great, but the original one started it all.
Knights of the Old Republic on Xbox, because I got an Xbox as my first console. Before that, I had to go to my cousin's house to play video games, and just being able to pop that in and see the graphics at the time, which were whoa, these huge starships and just amazing ability to do combat with lightsabers, really different. And that was during that whole the Halo thing too, so it was all at the same time. I was kind of into the space thing.
I remember going to the movie theater when I was younger, and I always saw this Star Wars video game at the movie theater, and I never really knew what it was until I was a bit older, and then I tried it, and it was actually really interesting because on the last level you could use the joystick and fight Darth Vader as if you're holding the lightsaber. So I found that really, really unique out of all the Star Wars games so far. It's a pretty OG game, and definitely something I'll never forget.